it almost matters less, I think, than us just being together trying to kind of build a new idea that we think would be really meaningful for others.
Another is I would say it's a fear. We may be kicked out if we don't know AI, right? How do you see Japanese market from your company? Now, let's talk about yourself. Okay. We know you're really the math champions and for several years, and also got several gold medal winners of the competitive programming, right? Yeah. But why did you decide to do the startups like Cognition?
It's, and by the way, I would say, I'd say you're quite good at math yourself, actually.
No.
We did the digits of pi, for
example. 50
digits. And the Rubik's Cube, and so, I think we had a lot of the same hobbies. I think, there was a group of folks, especially in the US, actually, a lot of the people that I grew up with in these math competitions. I grew up in a small town, and there weren't a lot of people who did these kind of math and science and programming in the same way. And the first time I met other people who were like that was when I went to these big competitions, and I met other people from across the United States or across the whole world even who had the same interests. And many of those people actually turned out to be very entrepreneurial as well. And so, one of my best friends at the time was Alexander Wang, who founded Scale AI.
Okay.
Another one of my closest friends is a guy named Johnny Ho, who started a company called Perplexity AI.
Wow.
And there are
You're really connected.
So when we were 12 or 13 years old, we were all met. We were the same age. We did these competitions. Jesse Zhang started a company called Decagon, for example. And a lot of these, many of the folks at OpenAI or Anthropic or Google, today as well. And it was funny because I don't think we ever could have predicted it ourselves either. But I think that I also think that entrepreneurship is kind of infectious, And so once a couple of us started, thinking about starting a company or doing something like that, a lot more people started to feel like, I should try this,
right?
And it's really fun. I feel very fortunate to have had that community as a kid, because it's, when we were 12 or 13 years old, we never thought that we would go and start companies and so on, but I've really enjoyed it since then.
I see. So the communities and the people are really important.
Yeah, I think the community is very important, and I think since then I've gotten to see, I guess, a lot of the benefits of it, which are that there really is a lot more to do and a lot more to build. And I think in AI today, things are moving so fast that any meaningful new addition that you can bring in, it really does change the landscape of what's possible. And I think I've been really inspired by seeing a lot of my friends who have built great companies and built great ideas, and that's I've always been excited to try to do the same.
Great, yeah. As an entrepreneurs, please tell us how you spend your day. Programming 24 hours a day? Or?
So I use a lot of Devin.
Okay.
So in total, my total Devins might be more than 24 hours.
Right, yeah, of course.
No, what I'd say is a little bit of everything. I think I think the most important actually is recruiting, because I think building a really great team is the most important part of any project or company or team. So that's probably the biggest thing. Other than that, it's a lot of time thinking about just the core product and the core strategy questions. We have a lot of tough questions all the time of what should we build next in Devin, or what should we focus on, or how do we solve this particular capabilities problem, or what are the right partners and people that we should work with, for example. And I think figuring out a lot of this core strategy is a lot of what I spend my time on, besides recruiting.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, you have really greatest people in your team. But how do you hire them?
Yeah. It's. I feel very fortunate to get to, honestly, most or all the team is better than I am, I feel. And so it's a lot of fun to work with such really great people. I think a lot of how we think about it is really forming the whole company around the team that we want to have, if that makes sense. You know, we have had several times actually where we changed the whole direction of the company in order to make it the right.
Oh, did you?
For the the right person who we really wanted to be a part of the team. And to give it a simple example, you know, over half of our team today actually have founded a company before themselves. And so it's a fun mix for us because most of us have known each other for a long time, 10 years. And more than half of us have founded companies of our own. And this is kind of a fun one of like, this one is going to be the big one.
Okay. What is the working environment in Cognition? Do you work remotely together or do you work on site every day?
Yeah. So we're all on site every day.
Oh,
yeah.
You're on site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So people are gathering in the office?
Yes, in the office. And we have a lot of late nights. Well, I mean, we're all engineers, and I feel like the engineer, our optimal schedule is just to work late at night. And so we do a lot of that.
Do you fight sometimes?
We have arguments, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's fun, I think, in the sense that everyone has a lot of respect for everyone else.
Right.
And also everyone cares a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think the fights are more about disagreement about, well, what is the most important thing that we should do? What is the most important thing? Rather than any kind of like, political, battles or anything like that. Because we really just, we really are just kind of in a room together trying to build something great.
Okay, so the trustfulness and also the respect.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do you do anything special to increase creativity or productivity of your team?
Yeah, so one thing I'll say is we do this every 6 weeks where we take the whole team for an offsite.
Okay.
So we fly the whole team together for a few days to a different location.
Okay.
We have a big house together.
Okay.
And we all work together out of that and just kind of come up with ideas. And we do this, it's every 6 weeks, which has been a lot of fun. We've gotten to fly to a lot of destinations around the area. And I think it helps a lot actually, because I think it's just a good mental reset for people. So actually it's funny because a lot of our launches, like Devin 2.0 or the initial Devin generally available launch, they came from these offsites. And so basically we had 4 days of offsite, and we said, okay, at the end of the 4 days we have to launch this. and it was a lot of late nights, very, very busy work, all of us in the house together. But that's kind of how we've often done these things.
I see. Okay. I have another different question about the AI innovation speed, right? Right now the innovation is everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really tough to catch up everything, right? How does Cognition accelerate the speed of this kind of innovation?
Yeah, I mean, I think code itself is obviously very important to all of us because we are all coders too. And I think that, so many systems in the world really just rely on software. Right. Much more of the world is software than it was not that long ago. Even a few decades ago, it was already very, very different. And I think that the ability to produce much more software is in many ways, I think the most motivating thing for us because there really is so much more code to write. There's so much more to build.
Okay. Yeah. What are the tips to grow such a great team from the management point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think I'm qualified, honestly, to give advice on management.
Well, you're a great CEO.
I think I think that a lot of the best people, they know better than I do, what is the best way to use their time. And so I think from our perspective, it's honestly a lot of how we've thought about these things is to
So it's a self-management. Do not manage them. they manage themselves.
Yeah, and I think it only works because, we're lucky enough to have people who are so capable and also so high agency.
Yeah, it's an amazing
but
team.
I think it's fun. Yeah, we really fight for fight to have the best people, and once we have the best people, you get to do a lot of things. I mean, we want every day building Cognition to just feel like us in a room together trying to come up with something really cool and really great.
Okay.
And there's no other. It's everything else. It's like the company or the business or whatever you want to call it. It almost matters less, I think, than us just being together trying to kind of build a new idea that we think would be really meaningful for others. And I think and we've been lucky enough that that's still how it feels every day. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to the Devin business.
Yes.
Talk. Okay. So now in Japan, AI-driven development. Okay, AI-driven development is really the hottest topic.
Yeah.
Whenever we arrange some meetups, we get applications from hundreds or maybe thousands engineers. Is that the same in US? Or,
Yeah.
And why is it so booming right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few reasons, but I think that code is one of the first great use cases of AI, and it's because there's such a clean verification loop.
Right.
These models can just get so good at code because you don't need a human to tell you whether the code was correct or incorrect, right? You run the code and then you got the right result or you didn't.
Right.
And I think that we are rapidly getting to a point where the capabilities are just a no-brainer, basically. I think in a lot of other spaces, for example, what you see with AI today is maybe, it's very promising, it's very exciting. Maybe there are some niche use cases where it works well, and we know that it's going to get better over time, right? In code, it's already the case today that if you're not using AI to write code, you're slower, than you need to be, And so I think people, obviously, developers are also really excited to try new tools and to go faster, and I think that's what's led to a lot of the boom. And it's the same in, it's the same in the US, and it's the same in Europe and everywhere.
Nice. Yeah. There may be two sides of this enthusiasm. One is the opportunity to learn the new thing, new technology, right?
Yeah.
Another is I would say it's a fear. We may be kicked out if we don't know AI, right?
Yeah.
So what impact do you think Devin will have on the career path of engineers?
Yeah, I mean, we want there to be much more software engineers. We are all software engineers.
You're going to increase the number of engineers.
Yeah.
Including Devin.
Yeah. And I think that, we were talking about this, which is for a junior engineer, throughout most of the last, 60 years, as soon as you finish school and you start as a junior engineer, your first few years, you don't really get to do anything that fun.
Just like debugging other guys' code.
Other people just hand you their tasks, and you just have to do that because you're the most junior one. And then eventually you get to a level where now you get to start kind of doing the more interesting work, and maybe you're giving the junior engineers, right? And I think the way we kind of think about it is, I think Devin is a new level that kind of like brings everyone up a level, right? Yeah. And so we see this with our own team that we hire people today who are very, very young, just finished college or even before finishing college, and we don't want them to go and just do implementation. We don't need them to, right? Because we have Devin to do that, right? Okay. And instead, we really want them to think as soon as possible about a lot of these bigger strategic questions.
More important one,
like
architecture,
questions. And so I think that's the general shift that we'll see in software engineering. I think humans will do this kind of high-level decision making, and it's actually it's a great fact. I would say that it turns out that the part of coding that AI was the best at is actually the most tedious part,
Right,
you
right,
know?
right.
And it means that we get to do all the
Sure.
interesting stuff. So, yeah.
Do you think the school education system will change the program?
So I think the education certainly will need to change. I would guess actually that school probably won't change that much. And the reason I say that is because I think that computer science classes in school already actually are most focused on teaching logic and problem solving, kind of fundamental skills. And I think those will still be important. Yeah. And I think there will be classes on how to use AI tools very well. And I think that's probably the biggest change. In mathematics, I think same story, right? Which is the fundamentals of mathematics are still very, very important to understand. And I think people will learn more how to use AI tools. You know, it's kind of like how people learned how to use calculators, right?
How about programming then?
Yeah, you know, I think these programming classes, I think there will be more instruction on how to use AI tools for programming, for example. But I think otherwise, you know, people will be able to build much more in much less time, and I think people will kind of like have a much faster learning curve. But I think a lot of the fundamentals are still very relevant.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us what's the new skill set?
Yeah.
You know, for the future software engineers must have.
Yeah. I think asynchronous work is really a big. Being able to break a task. You know, as an engineer, you're very used to doing. Right, I do this step and then I do that step and then that step.
Waterfall.
Yeah,
exactly.
But obviously now if you have your own team of Devins, you want to be able to think about, okay, I can do these different things at once. You know, I can do these 5 different things at once, and then I'll come back and review after. And there's a lot of questions that come with that about how much you break down each task, or you know, what level of context and detail you need to provide. And I think that's an important component.
Okay.
And then I think another thing I would say is I think that there is a certain understanding of context, which I think will have to become more explicit for people, which is, you know, when you work with your own team, for example, with your coworkers, so many of the decisions that you're making and the things you're doing are based on these little things that you all know, but that aren't necessarily written down anywhere, right?
True.
And sooner or later, basically, we will need to teach AI a lot of those same facts. And so I think there's going to be an interesting phase of basically bringing a lot of the real world context into AI and giving it the information it needs to make these kinds of decisions.
Yeah, it's going to be much more important if we use more AI agents, right?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we already, you know, the AI actually already can solve some very hard problems.
Right.
You know, I did these math and programming contests. The AI is probably better than me at math and programming contests already, you know? But I think that a lot of the practical challenge that remains is this kind of context challenge of understanding the details of the real world. Because, you know, in the real world, code is very messy, right? And you have this, you know, this particular architecture that you wrote because of a certain reason, or you have these commands that you run every time you want to test that aren't written down anywhere, or you have this area of the code base that's not documented very well. And being able to understand that and learn over time, I think, is a big part.
So the software engineer gets more power, right?
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah. A lot more power, and I think we're going to build a lot more too.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So talking about Japan, how do you see Japanese market?
Yeah.
From your company?
Yeah. No, I mean we're big fans of the Japanese market. It's it's very exciting to see a lot of the uptake on Devin. I would say, you know, initially when we got started, it is. We were honestly quite surprised to see how quickly things have grown in Japan.
So you got so many inquiries, or?
Yes, yeah. So after we became generally available, you know, Japan was one of our fastest growing markets actually. And up until then, obviously, we were kind of working very directly with every customer. And from there, you know, we were really excited to do more in Japan and to do even more.
Right.
And so we don't yet have a team, you know, in person in Japan today, but obviously we're excited to work with you know, work with you guys, for example.
Yeah, thank you so much.
A lot more and to build more with Japanese customers.
Yeah, why did you choose us? Why did you choose your system as a first partner in Japan?
Yeah. No, so a couple reasons. First of all, I would say the digits of pi was very impressive.
He corrected my mistakes.
No, so a few things I'd say. I think I think that a very technology-forward, system integrator style business was honestly the kind of business that we were looking for.
Yeah.
Because I think in these big enterprises and these big organizations, obviously change doesn't happen overnight. Right?
Sure.
And people need to.
It takes time.
People take time, and people need to learn how to use the tools well,
right.
and to be able to do more, even if the technology is already there. And I think that working with folks like you guys who I think both have these deep relationships already and have a lot of really great kind of like a lot of really great successes that you already build with your customers, and who have been early adopters of Devin since the beginning and have built a lot of cool things and taught a lot of people already how to do these cool things. I think for us it was a no-brainer. So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a great pleasure and privilege to work with you and Cognition. Really. Thank you so much. We really strongly believe that Japanese IT industry is currently at a major turning point. So we would like to accelerate Japanese market together.
Yeah,
with Cognition.
Yeah, and there's so much more to do.
Yeah. Okay, so finally, please give your message to audience, especially for Japanese software engineers, please.
Yeah, what I would say is, I think we are all excited to build so much more software, and I think about all these software products all the time, and I think there really is so much more to build. I've never met an engineering team that told me, okay, we have this project and that project, and then we're done.
Right.
No more software after that. Everyone always has so much more that they want to build, and what I would say is, I think that the most important thing to do to be able to build more software is to learn how to use the latest tools and what's happening. I think AI has already had a tremendous impact. I think over the next few months or the few years, it's going to have even more of an impact. And I think learning how to use the tools and how to use them well is going to be, the most powerful thing that we all can do.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And so many Japanese clients are waiting for us.
Yeah.
So let's achieve great future together.
Amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.